I'm making Caitlin's family recipe, a Maltese soup, something that her mom and grandmother had made. And it's interesting. Here, I'll show you. The pot is bubbling and getting all good. The interesting part of one of the things that I'm getting is the in-between, the patience. This has to boil for at least an hour, and then you still have more cooking time after that. And one of the pulls that I'm getting is that her grandmother is the one that's giving me the guidance. Like, I added garlic and I added bay leaves. Now, the recipe does not call for this, right? And it's one of those things that's like, am I sure I should be doing this? But I'm trusting the process. But during this, one of the loudest prompts that I just had right now, while I'm like doing other things, right? I'm keeping busy during this boil time. But what's really interesting is that I'm feeling called that I need to just pause and I need to read and do some internal reflection. And that just came like this rush feeling is how it felt. I need to pause. I need to read my book, do some reflection within, and just let the soup do its thing, and then circle back. But also what's interesting about the soup is I have been having to skim it. Here, I'll show you. See how the foam, there's like foam on it. And I have been like having to skim off the impurities, right? There's a whole nother channeling section that I can elude, but I have been like constantly straining and cleaning the soup. And you're probably thinking like, Jen, this is part of, it's part of the bones, it's the marrow, right? And the beef bones. But one of the loudest things is we have to get rid of the impurities. What doesn't work anymore, what we've been doing for so long and so many years, it's not working. So what needs to get skimmed out of life right now? Why, hence the pause, this feeling of like, I need to go within, I need to journal, I need to process. And that's really what I'm feeling and coming up with this. So just documenting as I go. Stay tuned. You know what's interesting, Caitlin? As I'm sitting down here, like I told you, I felt called to write my journal. And I'm working on through this book about, it's, growth within self. It's interesting. It said right on the top page, gratitude. And it was talking about external and internal, and just freely write for 5 to 10 minutes. And you know what? I started flooding to me. All of the things externally was just so easy to come up with. Like, no problem at all. The loudest thing is when I had to go internally. And I felt that. Like, there's this thing about externally, you are acknowledging everything outside of you. But the one thing is that you don't give yourself credit for everything that you do, for all that you do. And it's like this mask that I feel like you portray like you do. You portray and feel, maybe even lying a part of to yourself about that. And really feeling like you are grateful for everything that you have accomplished, and really taking those pauses. Hence why the soup is going, right? And making this about you. Maybe it lands, maybe it doesn't, but it's interesting how it's all coming together. And I felt this rush to have like crunch, like potato chips. Like I need a salty potato chip while I'm journaling. Like this distraction, the processing. But the cool thing about the potato chip is, Caitlin, potato chips are really, they're grounding, they're comfort. So why do you want to avoid going deeper within yourself and getting to know yourself, or revealing a part of yourself that may not make sense in your groups anymore? And the people who you really associate with and who has been in your circles, who are very successful, high living people. But what if you truly want the truth within you is You just want that simple life, and you're tired of chasing. And all these things, these amazing accomplishments outside of yourself that you're looking around and you're like, I did that. Maybe the loudest thing is that it just realizing you're not that person anymore. You're not that version. And you've outgrown a part of yourself. And it makes me feel uncomfortable feeling this, because it's like I'm getting kind of like emotional, like emotions are coming up within me. Because I think you really do cherish that simple stuff, but you have this portrayed feeling mask that you have to live and be a certain way. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I will screenshot the book where I bookmarked it through the Kindle app, and I will show you how it just lined up the open where it needed to go, and that's what came. So and one more thing to add that came up is, even outside of all those external amazing things, and you start removing some of the things and the people in the circles that may not make sense. Are you afraid you're not enough? That they won't want this boring version of you, or a simpler version of you? I don't know. Pinch of sugar. Doesn't call for it, but I'm being guided. The pastina. 1 cup. Ooh. Stir. Okay, Caitlin. So what's interesting is, as I'm like stirring the soup, I got it where it needs to be, and it's just simmering. Here, I'll show you. Okay. And I feel called, like once it's done cooling, I'm going to have to, I feel like I have to skim more, right? After the process is per se done. And it's just interesting, like what is coming up is like the most simplest soup, the simplest thing that's nourishing, that feels like just this grounding hug, reassurance and comfort. Oh God, I'm getting emotional. Your grandmother's like, life doesn't have to be this complicated, this put on a show, this masquerade. That it can be really simple and fulfilling and nourishing. So it's way easier than like the thought of making it. That life can be really easy, and it can be really simple, and it doesn't have to be this big show. You know, this soup is so nourishing, but you know what it reminds me of? It's literally transporting me as a kid eating SpaghettiOs. But this is like totally a gourmet version. And it's not even like, it's not the same thing. Far from it. But I think that's the idea. That something so familiar and comfortable, and yet with change, little upgrades, it's really delicious. Thank you, Caitlin, for giving me this opportunity. The channel, your recipe, it's truly comfort, and I get why you would want this to be channeled. And as you celebrate your birthday, I think one thing your grandma wants you to know is, as you're making, change, that life just needs to be slowed down. It needs to be simple, and it doesn't need to be complicated. And most importantly, drop the expectations and the ideas of what it is life should look like, and maybe start feeling it a little bit more, like a slow simmer into something delicious.